happy SummerSlam Sunday to all my AMP unit members out there in the world today, man. Hopefully all the boys and gals go out there tonight in New York City, Barclays Center, and they kick some ass like we're about to do right now on Amplified Q&A. As you can see, the summertime party is in full effect. We got the gang, we got Paulie the Palm Tree, Paulie Walnuts as I like to call him. We got Fred the Sun who's popping up big time today for this video. So, obviously, man, we're going to have a lot of fun. It's Hawaiian Shirt Day. We're sporting the fun. But what is not so fun, guys, is the first question. I've been getting asked this a lot. It's the first question. It's going to be kind of the monologue of the video. There's a new word. Every week, I do a nice monologue to start my Amplified Q&As. Kind of a main story or a main topic or a main question. Unfortunately, this one, guys, and I'll get serious. I'll take off the fun glasses here. The summertime party glasses. But I'll get serious here because it's a serious topic. And this is Peyton Royce Dave Meltzer. Alright? For those of you that don't know who Dave Meltzer is, he's a journalist for professional wrestling. He's been doing this for decades. His track record isn't the best, not by a long shot, so you can't really take a lot of stock in what he says. But he's been doing it so long that he does get word on some shit, right? But to be honest, the Amplified man has gotten so many scoops way before Dave Meltzer even got wind of it. So you can't take him for gospel or Bible. It's Dave Meltzer. You take him for what he is. A Dave Meltzer. He comes out with imaginary star matches. I don't know where the fuck he pulls these stars out of. His ass. Out of the fucking Atlantic Ocean. Who knows? But he does this, I don't know what the fuck it is. I don't really listen to it, to be honest. I don't know if it's a podcast or YouTube show. Something he does with another gentleman called Brian Alvarez. And they just talk pro wrestling, man. I don't know if they do it for hours, but at least they do it consistently. I don't know if it's every day, a few times a week, but it's a consistent show that they do. And they talk pro wrestling and everything involved with pro wrestling. That's their job. It's what they do. They make money from it, actually. And Dave Meltzer went on to have this conversation with Alvarez. And somehow Alvarez is getting none of the blunt of this conversation. It's all lays on Dave Meltzer because he's apparently has the bigger name. But during this, Dave Meltzer went out and said, the Iconics are another two that just aren't doing it for him on the main roster. He said in NXT, they had a really good gimmick. And they had a good look. And they just felt special. And now on the main card, they just don't feel special anymore. And he said, Peyton Royce to me, and he tried to choose his words carefully. And he says, as far as the overall look, it just, and he couldn't come up with the word. So Alvarez is like just less attractive or more unattractive. Paraphrasing, but along those lines. And Meltzer was like, yeah, I guess you could say that, right? Again, I'm paraphrasing, but this was the conversation. Nobody was calling anyone ugly or calling anyone fat. But Meltzer was saying, yes, there was more of an appeal over in NXT. Because Peyton Royce apparently had a boob job, right? She got bigger breasts, okay. Whatever floats your boat. Obviously, this is done because she's in the entertainment business, and it was done, obviously, to improve her appearance. So, obviously, if you're in the entertainment industry, you just got a boob job, and you wear fucking the outfits that you wear in your entertainment job, obviously, that's going to be a topic of discussion at times. I felt this was tastefully done, whereas you had Meltzer saying, I felt that she had a better look in NXT. And I feel that she was better in NXT. That's his opinion. And he said, I felt she was lighter. Lighter meaning her fucking boobs, obviously. So maybe she could do more. But everybody took this as it was, body shaming is the new word we use now, right? Because we're PC. And it's body shaming. And we're all going to jump aboard the body shaming train. And if you say one thing about somebody's appearance, Oh, the social media mafia will be after you. Oh, fuck. Run away, Dave Meltzer. This, if you go back and read the transcripts of this dialogue between Alvarez and Meltzer, I felt there was nothing at all that was over-the-top derogatory to call for a WWE bashing of Dave Meltzer. In fact, they even said in the dialogue, by the way, I believe it was Alvarez, by the way, we're by no means calling Peyton Royce unattractive. Just want to make that clear. Alvarez said that in this dialogue. They're literally talking about just the appearance with their overall skill level and their package in NXT and what they are now in WWE. And sometimes, yes, looks are involved. Peyton Royce proved that when she got the boob job in an entertainment business where you basically are wearing no more than, or a little more than a bra to ringside. So if appearance didn't matter in this business, would Peyton Royce have gotten the boob job like Charlotte Flair, like Stephanie McMahon? I know it's a personal choice, like a tattoo is a personal choice. But you have to know that people will talk about it in some type of conversation. It doesn't mean they're bad journalists. It doesn't mean they're not covering the product or your skill level. He put that in with your skill level. And they went out of their way and they said, this is not saying she's unattractive at all, by the way. This has nothing to do with that. And when Alvarez said that, Meltzer jumped in and said, no, not at all, not at all. There you go. Not at all. I'm just saying, she was better. I felt she was lighter, obviously. Lighter meaning less. She could go in the ring better. It was a better path. We have to be so fucking careful not to piss off or offend every little fucking person in the world now. Every person we offend in the littlest bit now goes on social media, makes a big deal. Everybody jumps to their rescue, and it becomes a bashing. If it hurt her feelings, Dave Meltzer apologized. Even though I feel nothing was over the top done wrong here. But he apologized. In fact, he said he doesn't want anybody coming to his rescue. He doesn't want anybody to say, hey, you didn't do anything wrong, Dave. Or, hey, this isn't fair, Dave. He apologized and said, I don't want anyone defending me. You know, I said words I probably should not have said. Most likely should not have said. Should not have said. I'm apologizing. But if you know Dave Meltzer, and again, I don't even care for the guy really, but I will say this about Dave. He's always stood up for women's rights and all that shit. He's always been standing up for shit like that. So to call him out on this, if this is what is known as body shaming, again, read the dialogue for yourself, guys. But they went out of their way to say they're not calling her unattractive. That they feel like she was better when she was lighter in this region. It had nothing to do with body fat, obviously. If you see Peyton Royce, the first thing that comes to mind is you're not going to think fat. That's not what he was saying. But people are saying, yeah, but still, lighter in the it's her breast, and she can get bigger breasts. The point is, she got breast enlargement, I'm guessing, right? I don't even know the fucking details on this breast job, this boob job that she got. But whatever it was, she got the job done to come back to the entertainment industry and wearing a little more than a bra. It's going to be a topic of conversation at times. Shit, Charlotte Flair just had one of her fucking boobs pop, didn't she? Popped. She was out of action. Not going, had to drop the championship, wasn't going for the championship. We're supposed to not talk about her popped boob. We're not supposed to talk about her popped boob because it's her boobs. And then it's going to get on the subject of breast implants and why she got them in entertainment industry. So now we can't say we felt somebody was better beforehand. And if you feel like her boobs shouldn't be an issue if she was better or not, well, guess what? Somebody does. It's their opinion. I just don't understand how something like that blown up so big, and then after the guy apologized, all these wrestlers chimed in. Seth Rollins chimes in. He was the funniest, at least. He was like -6 stars, Dave. But then you have like Beth Phoenix, who I respect greatly. She's like, I'm sickened by this. Tyler Breeze made it personally about himself. He's like, Dave, this is repulsive. You should bring people up, not tear them down or some shit. And Dave Meltzer was like, not trying to tear anyone down, apologize or something. Tyler Breeze, like, Tyler Breeze retweeted Dave's re-apology, if you're keeping track. And Tyler Breeze is like, it's not about me, Dave. The apology shouldn't be to me, Dave. Raise people. And I'm like, Tyler Breeze, shut the fuck up. Why are you making this even bigger? A mistake was made. An apology was issued. Why are you making this sound like Dave Meltzer did this horrendous fucking worldly, horrible, tragic thing? People like Tyler Breeze is what's wrong with society today. This gang mentality on social media, this bullying mentality, that if somebody gets offended, because everybody's offended about something every single day, right? That's the new society that we live in. The handbook, if you were to get a handbook the day you're born in today's world, it's, the motto is simple. Just find something to get offended about, and just flip out about it every day until you get bored, and find something new to get offended about, and then flip out about that. And then just repeat the process. Every day, just find something to be offended about. Find somebody who offends you and flip the fuck out about it. Try to get everybody around you and anybody who will listen to you to join your cause. And when it gets boring after a few days, then go to somebody new who offended you. And then repeat the fucking process. That's society that we live in today. Every little thing, man. I don't know how anybody fucking grew up in the fucking 80s and 90s, or anybody grew up before my time, 60s and 70s, 40s and 50s, when you had to be, before that shit, from the first beginning of time. I don't know how anybody would last back then in today's society. You had to fucking actually grow up on your own, mature on your own. You had to get thick skin. You had to develop a certain skill set to survive, survival skills, and it made you a better person in the long run. Today, you get offended, you bitch about it, and you become more of a fucking pussy by the minute. Today's society is pathetic. As I said in my Twitter, I made a video over on Twitter, and I said that an apology was issued. That should be it. WWE superstars should shut the fuck up at that point. The moment that the apology was issued, shut the fuck up and let it settle. Because I am telling you, I'm not giving an opinion here. I am telling you, there was nothing in that dialogue that was over the top bad in any way. It was an opinion with a few words that maybe shouldn't have been there and were apologized. And I say maybe shouldn't have been there because I think the dialogue was totally acceptable. But I'll be a little PC for you guys, and I'll say maybe a few words could have been taken out, alright? So nobody's feelings got hurt, so Peyton's feelings wouldn't have been hurt, so no body shaming would have been the fucking call to be called there. Oh, body shaming right here. Right here, we got a tweet with a body shamer, we got an interview right here, body shaming, we got a code 614, code 614, we might have to even call this a blue 614. Body shaming in progress, Dave Meltzer's podcast. You know, you fucking sit there and you get offended over every little thing, and every little thing is body shaming, and everybody's racist whenever they say anything about race. Everybody's a fucking homophobe when anybody talks about fucking gays and straights and bisexual. You're immediately, if you don't agree with what they're saying, you can just label them these days. Homophobe, racist, body shamer. Yes, you are. You said words here. You said lighter. You said the words lighter. You devil. You're a fucking devil. How dare you call her lighter at one point in her fucking life. Leave her boobs alone. Hashtag leave the boobs alone. Fuck out of here, man. And every fucking wrestler, MVP jumps in. He's like, it's these insignificant wastes called journalists that ruin the product, and they don't they don't add anything constructive to the product. I'm paraphrasing, but MVP was basically saying, fuck these nobody journalists that don't add to the product. These nobody journalist MVP, these are the ones that keep the product going and alive and keep interest, because in today's fucking pro wrestling world, especially the WWE bubble, I'm telling you right now, there ain't fucking much to be excited about. So when you have journalists, or you have podcasters, or you have YouTubers like myself that keep the excitement and the intrigue going for the product, you're damn right we add to the product. And just because you might not agree with everything we say, and just because we may offend you a lot of times, it doesn't mean we stopped adding to the product. You just became more of a fucking pussy. You know, it's amazing that I have to break it down like this and honestly say, obviously, nobody should be calling people names or bullying or making people feel bad about themselves. 100%. That is bullshit, and that won't be tolerated. Not on this channel, not in my life. Nobody I surround myself with, nor would I ever go out of my way to make an innocent person feel bad or bully or any of that shit. It's amazing that I even have to say that it's wrong. We all know it's wrong. If you listen to that dialogue, it stemmed from professional wrestling topics, and it stayed there. You're gonna have attractive females in pro wrestling. Two dudes are talking about pro wrestling consistently, daily, weekly, monthly, yearly. There are times where looks will mesh in with the wrestling. As long as it's not in some horrible light, in some really negative way, it's gonna happen. I didn't feel that was horrible in any way. I really don't, guys. I really don't. They went out of their way to say, by the way, we're not saying Peyton Royce is unattractive, just so everyone knows. That's what Alvarez said. And then Meltzer's like, no, not at all. So they went out of their way to make sure that was known, but they do feel that in NXT, there was a better look. It's the entertainment industry. If you're in this and you hope not to feel bad, if you're hoping that people don't hurt your feelings, you're in the wrong business. I know, I'm in the entertainment business. I live in New York City. I've been in fucking movies, and TV shows, and commercials. I've had the rejection. I've had people say I don't have the right look for certain things. To change a style, change my hair, shave, grow a beard, lose weight, gain weight. I've been told all of it. There's times you go home and feel like shit. It's the entertainment business. But without people critiquing you, perhaps you ain't gonna reach the highest level you could possibly reach. Perhaps you won't be better. It was a critique. Might it have been said, could it have been said in a better way? Probably. Most people would say most likely. But to come out like that against the guy after he apologized so many times, that's a little much. That's a little bit of bullshit, actually. It truly is, man. You know what I mean? You know, I hear females talk about pro wrestling, and it's a double standard. I think 2.0's Instagram said it best. For those of you that are on 2.0's Instagram, you know exactly what I'm about to say. He said it best. He said you hear these women always talking about how fucking fine and tight Finn Balor's abs are, right? And talk about how hot Roman Reigns is, then they want to fuck him. Because he's so fucking sexy. But you talk about Alexa Bliss's ass or Peyton Royce's boobs, and all hell breaks loose. And it's body shaming, and you shouldn't be talking about looks and appearance with wrestling. You're supposed to be critiquing wrestling only. But we always hear when women are talking about the men, man, we hear a lot of extracurricular activity that flies under the radar nobody gives a shit about. Some of it's good, some of it not so good. But it shouldn't be a double standard, man. And on top of that, I believe that's what 2.0... I don't want to paraphrase 2.0 too much. Lord forbid if we piss him off. But I do feel that's a double standard for sure, man. And again, it goes back to my original point. Your look is going to be talked about. It just is. And it's not always going to be positive just to suit your needs. You know, you have to grow thick skin. Your appearance in the entertainment business, whether it's pro wrestling or you're doing a fucking movie or a TV show, and in today's professional wrestling world, at least WWE, they mesh them all together. So your look is going to be talked about, and your look can affect your wrestling style. Something as little as it may seem, as bigger boobs can affect your wrestling. If somebody thinks you were better with smaller boobs and thinks your wrestling got worse with bigger boobs, they might have to say that if they cover wrestling. I'm gonna shut up about it. Way too much time on this, guys. And I know I fucking offended and pissed off so many people, but the difference between Meltzer and me is Meltzer will go and apologize. Me, I fucking love it. I fucking love making people cry. I get what is known as the tear bucket, and I fill it with your fucking tears. I get off on that shit. I'm not so much normal, though, am I? I'm a little fucking off kilter. I love the chaos. Let's move on, right? Another big question. So moving on, guys, let's go to NXT. Last week's Amplified Q&A video, I told you guys I was going to make a separate NXT video. Kind of exposing NXT to be a fraud in a fictional world. I never could get that video out because other stories broke, and then it was SummerSlam week, and before you know it, no NXT video. So, let me comment on it for a few minutes now. What I mean is that Triple H created this thing NXT, right? That was supposed to be developmental, but ended up being another brand. And what Triple H did, to try to make sure that there's no competition around the world, he tried to get all of the best stars around the world. And what he's doing is he's cramping them all in NXT. And they all have to sit there and try to earn a spot on a takeover card that only has about 5 matches per takeover. So you have some top talent that can't even get on the card, top talent that won't be on the main roster, and top talent that when they get to the main roster, their character is going to fall flat. Because it's so good in NXT, you're such a big fish in a small pond in NXT. But when you go over to the main roster, you're now a small fish in a big pond. So what worked in NXT is not going to work over on the main roster. No way, Jose. Everybody was having so much fun, and all the little kids in the NXT crowd, and it's a small crowd, so you're cheering him on. On the main roster, he's non-existent. Adam Rose, he fell beyond obscurity. He's no longer even seen in WWE. He got the boot with the quickness. But he worked in NXT. Bayley was one of the top stars in NXT. Main roster, nobody gives a fuck. Casual fan is like, what the fuck is this clown? A few kids are like, Bayley, Bayley. And some grown adults are like, Bayley. And they are freaky. But other than that, guys, a lot of these stars, Apollo, Tyler Breeze, please don't make me keep going on and on because I can. Sami Zayn, he became a jobber on the main roster. NXT, this guy was a fucking megastar. Finn Balor was a megastar, man, especially that Demon Balor character. Now he's taking on constipated Corbin at SummerSlam. He's stuck in the mid-card. It's different. And what Triple H is doing is criminal to them. They're developing all this time with their entrance in their character, and they're not thinking about what it's going to do on the main roster. Right? What the fuck was the Revival on the main roster right now? What are they? They're getting golf claps at the most by like 17 people per crowd. You can't take those characters from NXT and bring them to the main roster. They're destined for failure. Sanity was something epic, I thought, in NXT. Sanity on the main roster are jobbers in their second month. They were jobbers from their debut. AOP were monsters. On the main roster, they're clowns. They're jokes. Bobby Roode was a former NXT champion. On the main roster, he can't even get on the card of SummerSlam. Asuka was an undefeated monster in NXT. On the main roster, she lost that undefeated streak in just a few months at WrestleMania 34, and she can't even get on SummerSlam's card. Ember Moon, one of the most amazing female talents we've ever seen. Ember Moon can't even get on a SummerSlam card, can't even get a good storyline going. She's already losing the fucking Riot Squad and shit. My point is, I can go on and on and on, guys, with all this amazing talent, and they just get stuffed in NXT for too long. They get comfortable in the character that they want to portray to that small NXT crowd, and then when they get to the main roster, that's all they have to fall back on is that character. And if it fails, they have nothing left. What did you develop for them? That's why I call bullshit on this whole developmental system fraud. Because that's what it is. It's a fraud. I'm okay with a developmental system, a training facility, but it should be separate from NXT. Because there are superstars that should not be there. Like a Kevin Owens, or why a Finn Balor was there in the first place. Samoa fucking Joe had to go to a developmental territory? No. That was Triple H's ego saying, I want the best stars to be here. And he wanted the best stars because he wants to take away from every other promotion. He wants to make sure, with Vince McMahon, that there's no competition for WWE. So he went around the world with the fucking O'Reillys and the fucking Leo Rushes. Velveteen Dream was kind of from their system, so I can't lump him in there. But he did go around the fucking world, and he's trying to grab all the top talents so there's no competition for WWE and or NXT. It's exactly what he's fucking doing. I promise you. And then what, though? Once you get all these talents together, you only have 5 matches at a takeover. So people are left off the card. People are left out of good storylines. But they're the best talents in the world. It's almost like a prison. It's like prison. You're holding them captive. They can no longer compete the way we know they're capable of competing. They can no longer compete on epic stages. Now they're stuck in this one little developmental brand with all this other top talent. And what's the end game, Triple H? They slowly go onto the main roster for their slow death. Maybe one or two of them will break through and see the light of day and reach success on the main roster. But the majority will fail. So you tell me that this developmental NXT system is working. Tell me, guys. I'm listening. Tell me it's working. Give me the 3 or 4 names that are doing okay. Yeah. There isn't, is there? Even Kevin Owens, who could get some steam going into this Sunday, tonight, even he had his fucking downward spiral for the longest time. In fact, still, he's kind of mid-card fucking obscurity. Constipated Corbin, I can go on and on with all these motherfuckers that just failed miserably. And you can say the main roster booking is what did it all you want. But it's also the fan base, which is a lot of casual fans and diehard fans that don't watch NXT, that didn't captivate to them, they didn't catch them the way that NXT small little pond crowd did, is the best way for me to put it. And you put all your chips on the table, you put all your marbles down right there on the floor for this one character in NXT, and you keep them there for a year, sometimes longer. And then they go to the main roster, and if they fail, that's all they know. Then what? You can hope to repackage at that point. This developmental system is a farce. You have guys and gals that are literally just starting off their training, mixed in there with guys like Samoa Joe and Kevin Owens and Finn Balor, Sami Zayn. Adam Cole, baby! For some reason is in NXT. I can't fathom that. And then you say, but BC, it's because it's another brand. Well, that's the point. They're being stuck down there in a developmental brand. They're hindering the actual talents that need the takeover spots. The talent that is up and coming. The young talent that is just starting off their training, or maybe has middle ground training, has to now be in the shadow of the Adam Coles. And at the time, the Kevin Owenses and the Finn Balors and the Shinsuke Nakamuras and the Bobby fucking Roodes. What the hell was Rude doing down there? They have to stay in the shadows. And don't give me the BC. That's the best people to learn from. They're learning from the best. They have people like Shawn Michaels. At one point, I don't know if he still is, Norman Smiley was over there. Their trainers are the best. Lita was helping them at one point. Sarah's just as fucking great, knowledge-wise, as Lita, and she's fucking helping them out. They have the best trainers in the world. They have people, WWE superstars, that are constantly going down there and working with them and even putting on matches with them. They don't need to not be on a takeover card. You call it a developmental system, and then you look at it like NXT Toronto. Remember, it was fucking, was it Asuka? Who should never even been in NXT. She was so good. Put her to the main roster. For everyone saying developmental is helping these individuals, how did it help Asuka at all? How did that help her get fan response? How did that help her English? It helped nothing. Oh, they had to learn the camera angles, BC, and get an entrance. Please. The Tugboat and Earthquake did that in 6 days back in the day. But NXT Toronto, a year or two back, they had fucking, or a couple years ago, I think it was, Asuka and Mickie James. So not only did you have a girl that didn't belong there, Asuka, but then you brought in a WWE veteran talent, and that was a takeover, one of your 5 matches. How is that helping developmental talent? Matches like Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens. 2 legit bona fide superstars in their own right. Veterans. How is that? What are you? It doesn't have an identity. Either you're developmental or you're a brand. If you're a brand, separate from the identity of developmental. And give yourself a 20 to 30 person roster and give yourself that 1 hour show on the network to start. And let the developmental be developmental. Let them be like FCW again or something. Florida Championship Wrestling. Let them put on their own shows. They're not being given the time of day. And that's because the people that are being given the time of day shouldn't even be there in the first place, and they're trying to wrestle for that spot too with 35 other top superstars in the world. The agenda is simple. Triple H and Vince just want to get all this talent into one holding cell, one little prison, and keep them there so nobody else can see their talents. The WWE bubble cannot be exposed by all these awesome performances. If WWE had it their way, they would buy New Japan Pro Wrestling. But New Japan Pro Wrestling won't fucking sell. But it's a fictional world, and this all started, I wanted to make a video about this, because this all started when somebody said, and by the way, before I get to that, can I just say AJ Styles is a prime example? You put Samoa Joe in there, but AJ Styles got to go right to the main roster and show up at the Royal Rumble. Are you telling me Samoa Joe lacked the understanding of the business of the WWE ways more than AJ Styles? Samoa fucking Joe? That proves my point, that Triple H is just picking and choosing who he wants to go down there. Nothing is for developmental. He just doesn't know what it is. It's developmental, but it is also a brand, so I need top talents down there. But then his takeover shows are all people that shouldn't even be there anymore. If they should have been there in the first, they shouldn't anymore. Doesn't know what it wants to be. But back to my point. This all started when somebody said, who was the superstar? Oh, we were talking about The Rock's daughter and how she's going to be 18 next year. This year? Next year. She's going to be 18 and she's going to immediately start wrestling, guys. She's already training, The Rock said. So Simone, The Rock's daughter, is already training to be a pro wrestler. This is what I mean about the phony world Triple H has created. He calls NXT developmental and everybody thinks that that's where you have to be to get trained. Guys, before NXT, in the way it's still done around the world today, when you want to be a pro wrestler, you get trained around the world by people that know what they're doing. And then you go to a promotion. You don't need NXT. Now back to my point, I'm talking about The Rock's daughter in one video, and I got a comment, respectfully, but I got a comment saying, yeah, right, BC, Simone just going right to the main roster and bypassing NXT? They would never do that. And something else this person said. And I thought, wow, that's what today's fan actually thinks. If you're a new fan to pro wrestling, a new fan to WWE, you honestly believe that to be a great superstar, you have to be trained in the Performance Center and learn the WWE way. It's bullshit. It is a fictional world that Triple H doesn't even know what it is. Half developmental one day, the other day it's an actual brand. They don't know what the fuck they're doing down there. They just know it's a holding cell. It's a prison to collect all the superstars, and then they just play with their lives. Whenever they get in a board meeting and they're like, who do we bring out of prison? Who do we fucking release from prison? Who do we bring up? And then you have what I call the lifers in prison that are so used, they're so institutionalized to the NXT way, and life is so good in NXT, they don't want to go to the main roster because they know that is where it's chaos. The bad shit happens outside of prison, outside in the real world. And in this case, it's the WWE bubble. So they want to stay in NXT, right? They got institutionalized. I don't blame them. But it still doesn't decide what it is, depict what it is. It's hurting the superstars. I gave you a laundry list of superstars that did fucking great in NXT and on the main roster failed miserably. And the booking can only be blamed for half. The other half is the crowd is like, what the fuck is this? I honestly feel this developmental system is hurting the veteran guys that should be bypassing NXT. Guys that should have never been there and gals that should not have ever been there should not be there. Let it be for developmental talent. People that are just being trained or are on their next level of training if need be. Simone, The Rock's daughter, you don't think she's going to get the best training in the fucking world, but you think she needs to go to NXT first? To what? Get this false sense of success, and then when she gets to the main roster, it's all fucking gone? Please. Because that's what's happening. A lot of these superstars are getting a false sense of success, and they get to the main roster, and when they fall on their face, they have nothing to look back on. Fuck, I just spent the last 2 years in NXT developing this. I have nothing else. And don't fucking tell me that down in NXT their promos are getting better. Because their promos fucking suck now more than they ever did back in the 80s and 90s. These motherfuckers would probably be better at promos if they weren't in fucking NXT having promo classes. This whole NXT thing is bullshit. I'll be the first to admit, it's good shows. NXT takeovers always tear the fucking roof off, of course. He got the best wrestlers in the world, and he picks a few of them to put in these 5 matches, and they put on a 2.5-hour card. It's hard not to fuck that up. But all these NXT fanboys that claim they want WWE to be better and they want competition, you're contradicting yourself. Because you claim you want competition, you claim WWE sucks, but you're cheering on a place that is hoarding wrestlers, and the main reason is because they're trying to avoid competition. They don't want these wrestlers anywhere else. And you're cheering this place fucking on like it's the holy grail of wrestling. Maybe you want to rethink your strategy if you really want WWE to be better. If you really want competition, you might want to rethink cheering your brains off for NXT. But that's just a thought. Now, guys, this video can't go an hour long today. Obviously, it's SummerSlam Sunday. A lot to do. We got to get ready for SummerSlam. So I'm gonna talk about one more thing here. It's a big kind of topic, big question I've been asked. A story that broke in the last 24 to 30 hours, and that's the big Chris Jericho story. How Chris Jericho pitched a match for SummerSlam to Vince McMahon. Intercontinental Champion versus Intercontinental Champion. Chris Jericho and his IC strap from New Japan Pro Wrestling versus Seth Rollins' IC strap from WWE. Now you're thinking, Dolph has the IC strap, BC. Apparently this was pitched to Vince McMahon by Chris Jericho in June. This is when Seth Rollins had the IC strap before he dropped it to Dolph, and this was after Chris Jericho had just gotten his IC strap. So they want to do, Chris Jericho pitched this awesome inter-promotion match. And he says that Vince was all on board with it when they initially had their talk, and when they hung up the phone, he never heard back from him. From Vince McMahon. He never heard back from anybody in WWE about it. And this goes to what I just told you guys about NXT. They don't want the competition. They'll bring up TNA here and there. And the reason is, guys, is because any day now, they're going to buy TNA. Not literally any day. But at any fucking moment that Vince McMahon truly wants to buy TNA, he can. He knows TNA is not legit competition. That's why you hear them bring up TNA a lot. And they got a lot of the TNA library on their network too now in a lot of different fucking ways. So they don't care about mentioning TNA, but you will not see them mentioning fucking other places, especially New Japan Pro Wrestling. So Vince McMahon, like, stroked the ego of Chris Jericho. Yeah, great idea, buddy. I love it. Okay, we'll get in contact with you. And never got back to him. The belt ended up going over to Dolph. They had them fight for 3 fucking matches, 3 pay-per-views, some shit in a row, right? Or we just saw him last pay-per-view anyway. This pay-per-view was the same fucking thing. Dolph versus Seth Rollins is what we're stuck with. We could have had Chris Jericho versus Seth Rollins. IC strap versus IC strap. How badass would that have been? You guys want my fucking opinion, my thoughts on this situation? I think it would have been fucking epic. And I think this is WWE being WWE. They didn't even have the balls to tell Chris Jericho, I don't want to do business with New Japan Pro Wrestling because I don't want to bring another promotion up that is actual competition. I don't want to make it seem like we actually have competition. And by the way, I'm not saying New Japan Pro Wrestling is, guys. I've always said New Japan Pro Wrestling is its own entity. You can't really compare WWE and New Japan Pro Wrestling. However, New Japan Pro Wrestling is slowly but surely starting to make its way into the States. And they are soon going to attempt to be competition. And I think they have the assets and the resources and definitely the superstars to be legit competition when they choose to be. So down the road, don't be surprised if New Japan Pro Wrestling becomes actual competition in North America as far as like United States, Canada. Fucking, it's gonna happen, guys. New Japan Pro Wrestling is already holding events in United States. I don't know if they are in Canada. Somebody probably knows who's in Canada watching this. Down in Mexico, they'll be hitting that up, man. Fucking Argentina, United Kingdom, everywhere will be getting New Japan Pro Wrestling, if they're not already. It's gonna be competition down the line, and I think Vince knows that, and he can't just toss it around like TNA. But he didn't have the balls to just tell Jericho that. They hang up the phone and they don't hear anything back. It's like Batista. Batista was on the phone with Triple H and Vince saying, I want to come back. I want to do a cool story with Triple H. Batista, this movie star now, wants to come back to WWE. And they won't even return his phone calls. They want The Rock to be their poster movie child, and they want John Cena to be the next big Rock. Never gonna happen. But that's what they want. They want John Cena to be the next. So if Batista comes back, he's gonna offset John Cena. It's bullshit, man. Have the balls to tell people what you're honestly thinking. So anyway, Chris Jericho thinks this could happen, and the next thing he knows, Dolph Ziggler's winning the championship, and the next thing he knows, it's Seth versus Dolph at SummerSlam. Poor Jericho in that point, man. But more importantly, poor fans. Because now we're stuck with Dolph and Seth Rollins for the 100th time. And we're deprived of seeing Jericho Rollins IC strap versus IC strap on the second biggest stage of the year. Could have been epic. Vince McMahon could always have an epic card. He chooses not to. He chooses to go either the safe route or something that's always going to be just so not entertaining, it's not even funny. Rehashed, redundant rematches. That's my feelings on it, guys. So kudos to Jericho for always being innovative, for always being creative. Just sucks WWE is once again WWE and doesn't want to do what's innovative, doesn't want to do what's creative. Anyway, we're not going to let the negatives take us out of this video. We're going to do the fucking positives, and that is that it is SummerSlam Sunday. And we're going to hope and pray that they put together a fucking good show tonight, man. Please put together a creative, entertaining, intriguing show. I know that's asking so much out of the world, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. I'll go in with very low expectations. I hope when SummerSlam goes off the air, my mind is blown in a good way. If it's totally a bad way, I'm just letting 2.0 take the review show tomorrow morning. The good, the bad, and the ugly. For now, party on, Amplified Unit, and happy SummerSlam Sunday. Check you later!